Welcome to Dirksón Photography and welcome to the Leica M10. So I picked up the Leica M10 and I spent one day in Hamburg with it. I only had one lens, the 35 1.4 Summilux lens. And in this video I want to show you the images, and I only have here the JPEG files straight from the camera. So there's no edited image. This is all straight from the camera, the JPEG files. And before I go into the images, I want to show you how I photograph with it. So I start the day off kind of picking up the camera and then walking around and trying to get focus. Now this is an manual focus only camera, so there is no autofocus. So you have to turn the focus here to actually have images in focus. And for somebody who uses mostly or nearly always autofocus, this is not so easy. And so I photographed cars driving around and kind of still stuff like buildings and small things on the pavement for the first 10, 20, 30 minutes. And then what I love to do is I love to photograph people. So we walk around here. It's a Friday, or it's a Saturday, so there are many people in Hamburg. And I just talk to people on the streets and photograph them right where I meet them. So I saw this couple, they look really nice. And I go up to these people and then photograph them wherever I see them. And I try to focus on couples, groups of people. I always want to give joy to others by doing what I love, and I love photography. And if I can bring joy to the people, then I have a successful day. So I talk to these 4 girls, then they say okay, and then I photograph them. And then the people can buy the images later. They can download them from my online shop, and I just receive emails who bought images for how much. I don't have to write any email, it's all automated. I don't have to send any images myself, it's all automated. I only get an email where it says this person bought for this much money the images. And this is a business that I do, and this way I can control my income pretty by myself. So it depends how many people I talk to is relevant for the number of people that I photograph, and that is relevant for how much money I make on a day. And so I talked to this couple as well. They were just getting onto the bike, and then I photographed them also right where I meet them. And I want to show you the video right before we go into the images, so you have some reference how I took these shots. And that is actually real people that I talked to on the streets, and not some people that I prepared photo shoots with. And that's why we filmed it. We filmed the whole process. So I talked to these 3 girls, and then also we go right into the photo shoot. Let me just show you one more here. It was a really beautiful day in the beginning, and in a moment we will go into the images. Let me see if I can get the last video of the day, because it started raining. And here we are. And I had the camera for 5 to 6 hours that day. And it's really difficult to photograph somebody that's moving much. They were moving to the front, to the back. And I shot mostly at f1.4, because when I have an f1.4 lens, I always want to see how usable is it? Can I take images at f1.4? So let's go into the images. So we start off, Alex comes with me. He's filming me. And it took me so much time to actually get this shot, just to get the focus. I mean, I put the aperture f1.4 to take a look at how does it look like. And then just walk around and photograph, stuff. Trying to get a feel for the camera, getting a feel for focusing. And it was a real weird feeling in the beginning. Usually I shoot everything in manual mode. Manual ISO, manual white balance, manual shutter speed, manual aperture, everything. In this case I set the camera to auto ISO and auto shutter speed. And sometimes some of the images where the cars drive by, they are blurry because of the shutter speed, it's too slow. But that doesn't matter. Here is 35mm f1.4 wide open, close as I can get with the focus. Here you see the detail, Leica M10, 35mm, ISO 100, shutter speed. The aperture is not recorded in the JPEG files because the the Leica, the lenses, they don't have a connection. They don't record the aperture. So you don't really know unless you make notes. But most of the time I photographed at f1.4, especially when photographing the people. So let's just go a little bit down here. Got a Porsche driving by, many Porsches in Hamburg on the weekend. Kind of always many Porsches in Hamburg. Hamburg is a really rich city. It has a lot to offer. Now, as I have the camera not manually controlled, but by the camera, you see some of the images are too dark. I mean, that doesn't matter. Even the JPEG files, I can just open up in Lightroom, brighten them up, and get some beautiful shots. But I always like to show people the images that I took. And this is an image, for example, that is way too dark for my taste. So it doesn't make it's no fun showing those girls these images. Now, the next images, I think they turn out pretty well. It's still a little bit too dark for my taste, but I think this is totally fine. And I have all the images that I show you here is a selection, but it's kind of all images I took, because I wanted to see, did I get the focus right or did I fail? Did I miss it? I expected to fail a lot. When I got home and saw the images, I kind of pretty much was amazed at how good, first of all, the sharpness is. I think many of the images are pretty sharp, and the look of the camera is also really nice. Now the blue here is not part of the image. It's the program showing me the really dark area. So don't mistake the blue parts for being part of the image. That's not the case. And now usually when I take these shots of strangers on the streets, I always have to be with them. To get them laughing, I have to do something to get a nice facial expression. That's the core of the images I take. An image for me is nice when I get their emotion in a really positive situation. So when I get their face to be really laughing, smiling. For example, right now she's not laughing. She doesn't have that emotion that I'm looking for. Now it's getting better. Now it's I think pretty beautiful here. I switched the camera to f1.4. With the group shots I had it, I think, at f4, and I was expecting total disaster with focusing. When I got here into photo mechanic and looked at the JPEG files, I was amazed at how sharp and how on point the focus was, because I literally picked up the camera. We started shooting at 2 o'clock here at the harbor. I picked it up at, I think we left the store where I picked it up at maybe 1:30 or 1 o'clock, a quarter to 2, and this is a quarter past 2. So it's just half an hour that I had the camera for the first time ever in my hand, a Leica analog, the digital camera, but manual focus only. And I was going into these photo shootings with these people with the expectation to fail miserably, especially when I go for f1.4 aperture. Now seeing these images, now zooming in on the 5K monitor here, I think I got some really amazing results here. Totally lucky that the images turn out like that, because I was expecting a total different user experience result. So I do this video for a couple of reasons. I want to show you the images that come from straight from the Leica M10 without any editing. So you see, how is the metering on the camera? Will the images be too dark or too bright, or is it on point? Most of the time it's on point. Now some of these shots again are too dark, but when I look at all the images I took, in general I can say over 80% are really pretty beautiful without any editing to it. And I also want to show you how good can you focus the M cameras, especially at open aperture f1.4, when you've never ever used a Leica camera ever before, and when you never kind of shot manually. I have my Canon cameras, and the autofocus with the face detection on the Canon 6D Mark II and the EOS RP is so great that I really have no need to photograph with manual focus. Just the day before this was just Saturday, just the day before that, I walked around the same area with the Canon R5, the new 45 megapixel 8K video capable camera, with the 85 1.2, shooting at 85 1.2 all the time, faces always in focus, easy peasy, eye detection, no problem, 20 frames per second possible. So I was expecting the opposite of results with the M10, because I knew it's manual focus only. I'm using an f1.4 lens, and I I always go for what I have. If I have f1.4 on the camera, I will go to f1.4. I will not bother with f4. Even though I know that probably I will fail a lot with focus. And just getting to the screen here, I think we got some really beautiful results here. When you think about focusing, because this is where the photographer has it all on his own shoulders. Where you can mess up the focus like I did here, for example. Now here I messed up totally the focus. No idea where the focus was. And while I was taking these shots, I was all the time moving the focus ring to the one direction, to the other direction, because I actually, while I was taking these shots, I had no idea. I had no idea, am I now in focus? Am I off focus? Now these people, these are strangers on the streets. They don't know that I'm having a manual focus camera. They will not keep still just because I have this black camera in my hand. They don't know that it doesn't have autofocus. And so they just move normally. They move to the front, to the back, to the side, and I have to adapt to it immediately. I have to change focus just in milliseconds when shooting at f1.4. So let's go a little bit into the bigger, let's scroll through a little bit. So I want to give you the images that I got just from one day of Leica. I rented the camera in Hamburg. There are some cameras that I'm interested in for some time, and there are not many stores that you can actually find where you can rent a Leica camera, especially like a M10, a rather newer one. There is actually the only shop that I found in kind of everywhere in this country that had on their website the Leica M10 for rent. And for a relatively small price, I mean, I still paid over 200 euros for it, just for kind of 6-7 hours. Here, look at the focus here. We really got the eye, which I had no idea I hit. The eye is in focus, even though it's just so small in the image. It's just kind of gone behind the hair. And while I was taking these shots, I had no idea where the focus was. I expected a lot of out of focus shots, and I mean, with the buildings, you can go to infinity focus. You can pull the focus ring to the end of when it doesn't go any further, and then you kind of have everything sharp that's in the background. So when you photograph a background and a building in the background, it's very easy to get that in focus. But when you photograph a person that's laughing, that's smiling, that's moving, that's real, and it has his own or her own dynamic, that is not easy to do with any camera. But when I now look at the results, and I only had the camera at this point for kind of an hour, maybe an hour, 20 minutes, I'm really amazed how well the focus got. And also the auto setting on the camera. I mean, these images look gorgeous. I have to tell you, I have not yet looked at the RAW files. So this is the JPEG files straight from the camera, and these are all in black and white because I chose the black and white, the monochrome picture style. But the files are also all in color in the RAW files, and I haven't taken a look at them. So I'm really curious to see when I edit these images, which I will do in one of the next videos. I'm really curious to see how well can I edit them when I use my usual editing and preset. And if I can see a difference between the Canon files that I usually have, between the Leica files, when I edit the images the same way that I always do. Because you have to consider the price of this camera. The camera costs 6,000 euros or even more. The lens costs 4,500. So we have now a camera lens combination here without autofocus for over 10,000 euros. For over $10,000. That is a high price tag for a camera that doesn't have autofocus, doesn't have video, and kind of is lacking in other areas as well. But you know, Leica is known for their optics, the lenses. The lenses are legendary. They will last decades, and the price on the used gear is still so high that you can buy something on eBay today and sell it in 3 years for kind of the same price you paid for, because it's so stable, because the optics are so great. And even the cameras, which is, no Canon camera holds its price pretty long, and Sony cameras also, they fall pretty quickly. If you buy a camera today and sell it in 2 years, you will definitely have a big, you will not get the money that you paid for. Now with the Leica cameras, they have a pretty high price, even the ones that are pretty old. Like the M240 is a camera that came out 7 years ago. It's still at 2,500 euros, kind of everywhere. If you find one for 2,000, you got a great deal. And when I look at other cameras from that time, they are drastically reduced, way below 1,000 euros. And yeah, so here are the shots. I wanted to show you how do images look like straight from the camera. I want to show you how good can you focus at f1.4 with people that you never met. I don't know their names. Now they got me the names at the end of the shooting, but right here I just talked to them on the street. The people can buy the images later, although in this case, when I filmed it and I show it to the public, I sent them all the images for free. I believe success means giving joy to others by doing what I love. I love photography, and I want the images to be important to the people, not to me. I mean, I love taking pictures. That's what I have from it. I don't care about the money that much. So I love doing it for free, but usually when I don't film it, the people can buy the images afterwards, and I can control my income by the number of people I photograph. I think we got maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 photo shoots on that day. Not that many compared to what's possible in Hamburg in the summer. But I think we got some really nice, beautiful shots here. And the idea was just to experience the camera, photograph buildings, photograph couples, photograph people, photograph cars, and just get a feel for the camera. And I think we had a really nice day. And I always think about who would get much value from the images. So I saw this father with his 2 kids, and I thought, man, how many images do you have with your kid? I have a child. I have a few images with my child together because it's difficult to do a self-portrait with my child on my lap and controlling the camera. So I knew for him these images might be special. And I always I see myself as a minister of photography. A minister, if you look at the Greek word, it actually means servant. So I always try to be in service of photography. And that is where I get my greatest joy. When I talk to people on the streets, they were just getting out of the car. When I talk to people on the streets, I photograph them, and this comes out of it. I'm amazed. I'm having the greatest time of my life. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be on the beach, in a hotel, nowhere. I just want to be out here, out in the chaos, out in the field. And the market for this is forever. What this means is there are everywhere people that you can photograph, and when they like the images, they can buy the images. Now you need to think about a way to sell the images. It doesn't make sense to have to select manually every single image. There are ways that you can automate this, but you don't have to write any. I don't write any emails when I photograph these people. And I've created actually a workflow that teaches you how to photograph people on the streets like I do here. What do I say? How much money do I actually make from a real day out on the streets? What do I say when they say no? How can I still get a photo shoot with them right on the spot? How can they buy the images? How does that work? How much money do I make? How is it with invoices? And how can I make it? Or which ways can I use that I don't have to actually write invoices myself, but have it all automated? That you will all learn in the course. Put a link in the description below. And yeah, this is about the Leica M10. I want to show you the images, and in one of the next videos we will take a look at the photo shoots where I was filmed. So you actually see me taking these shots, and then I have the shots blended in, but you will not see the JPEG files, and I want you to see the JPEG files here. Now here, this is Alex who filmed me, and 1 or 2 times I gave him the camera to take a picture of me. Was curious to see how do I look taken with the M10. Now I love my Canon cameras. My main camera is the Canon 60 Mark II. It costs 1,300 euros. I have 2 of them. I also have the RP. I also have the Canon 5 DSR, which is a 50 megapixel cameras, and some other cameras, but these are kind of the most used ones. I also have a digital medium format camera, Hasselblad H3D, but this is just for the hobbyist in me, the dreamer. And yesterday, the day before this, I tried the Canon R5. So I'm pretty used to modern technology. What struck me with this camera were several things. First of all, Leica has such a big name in photography and is so different, and they take pride in it. They don't need the greatest tech inside, and they actually made a camera with video functions, the M240, and the Leica fans didn't like it. They criticized too many options in the camera, so that Leica then removed many options like video. So removing a lot from the camera, like autofocus, it makes the camera more interesting not having it. And this is a beautiful philosophy in times where you get overloaded with stuff in your cameras and the stuff with this technology. I love when I have to actually work for something, when I have to work for an image. The modern cameras like the Sonys and the Canons, they will give you great images easily. You don't have to do anything for it. Everything is in focus, face detection, great color, everything is nice. I love it when you are mechanically involved in the picture taking process. When you by yourself have to get the focus right, or the images will not turn out nice. I love that. This camera is for somebody who wants to experience photography in a deeper level, who wants to be part in the image taking process, who doesn't want to have a nice image but to want to have a crazy experience while taking that image. That's the difference, and that is paid with a price. Leica put a huge price tag on these cameras. As I said, this camera lens combination, one camera, one lens, cost over 10,000 euros. And it doesn't have autofocus and no video function, and you have to the camera doesn't try to impress you, the camera doesn't try to do everything for you, it will work against you. You have to spend time with it so that it will give you nice images, and I love that philosophy. I love it to be part of the image taking process, and it's such a great experience when you come home and you look at images and you kind of have still doubt if everything is in focus, and then you come home and you look at shots like these and you won. You know, you have a victory because you had a chance to fail and you didn't fail. Whereas with the most technology cameras right now, like the Sony and the Canons, there is no chance to fail. It's so safe to use that there is no more excitement about it. Now it started raining a lot. We just stood here in the entrance. Again, this blue is not part of the image. It's just the program showing me it's too dark, which is totally fine. And we took some shots in the rain, and then we took the last, let's go to the last photo shoot with these two girls. I think a really nice look. So now it will be interesting to take a look at the color files and to see when editing them, how do the images look like compared to the Canon files, maybe also compared to the Canon R5, because what you see right now, I did the same the day before with the Canon R5. Also photographed beautiful people, also kind of on the same streets. Images will look very different because different lens, different focal length. I hope you enjoy this. When I look at Leica reviews, I often don't see so many portraits. There are many people who do street photography where they just walk around and photograph stuff. There are not so many people who use their Leica in a real portrait photo session, especially not with strangers on the streets. And I think it's a great test to test, can I use f1.4 on a Leica M? And this video should show you what you can get out of the camera on your first day. So this is our first day user experience. I picked it up at 1:30 during the day. Now it's 6:20. So I had it for 5 or 6 hours or so. And then we brought it back to the camera store. Now shout out to the Pro Light Rent who rented me the camera. I paid the price to rent the camera. But actually they were not open that day, and the man said he will come open the door for the store just to give me the camera, and then I can call him later that day. He told me I can call at 10 in the evening to make full use of the day, and he would then come to the store to get the camera. It was really a nice offer, which I had never expected, that somebody comes to the store that was not open just for me, spends his Saturday waiting for my call. And so props out to ProLight Rent in Hamburg. And also that they have the Leica M in their rental program, which is kind of the only store that I found that had it at a really nice price when you think about that the camera lens combination is a $10,000 combination. Yeah, thank you very much. You will find some more videos with the Leica M10, also my editing and the edited images, and also a video where you just see me walking around town taking pictures, beautiful cars, beautiful portraits, and a kind of portrait of Hamburg city. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't ask for nothing but the sunshine. The race is going one way to blind my eyes, and birds fly around like you can move from wind, fly until they find the place where you have been. Ask for the direction and it's back in time. The workaholics say to say you died, but knowing you'd come back, children await you. She open them doors and make them faithful. Nightmares vanish, dreams come true. It's what they say every time they're seeing you. Time starts to tick, air starts to breathe. I wonder what means the day to me. I never thought about waking up in dreams. Never thought about being me. I never thought about just breaking it up. I'm breaking it stuff, I'm breaking it up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and take me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up. Let them trees grow tall and the seasons go by while you won't leave at all. You're the hope and the strength they'll let her wake up to reach and one life to spend. You count our days, you count our time till then. It's you from the tummy we are born in until the day we end. Can't be bought, can't be taken. Give us light that get us to our happy ending. And each second we're living and each breath we are breathing is cause of you. But they cause you're not leaving, and if you come back just some hours later, the first thing I see in the morning when I wake up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up.
Another day is born.
Come and take me up.
Another day is born.
Come and wake me up. Whoa, it's like another day's born, but I'm sadly dying. People pass my so long, it's now less than a while. Did I finally look bright and just open my eyes? Touch my guys in disguise. Damn if you needn't, where's Christ? I'm a sleepwalker, walking the day when I'm sleeping. Don't know for sure if it's me that is